Welcome back again to the A3A podcast. We are still in our fourth episode here. We're just segmenting them a little bit. We're going to be talking about the NFL, and we might throw in a little bit of MLB and NHL at the end, so stay tuned if you're interested in that. Walter, would you like to kick us off for the NFL?
Another pun for more football. Hell yeah.
Yeah, back to back. Same one. Gotta reuse, reuse,
recycle. Anyways, let's kick off on a very.
Ooh, he said kick off again. He did it.
He said I did. Positive note. The thing. Giants get their first win in surprising fashion. The game. So actually, funny story. I didn't watch this game, but it's not because I didn't want to watch it. It's because one, I forgot they were on, and I was at the firehouse visiting Erica's uncle and aunt and new puppy. So I was there and concerned with that and not watching football. But then I got a notification on my phone and it said Giants win, and I was like, "What? What?
What did you say?"
Anyways, I think the main thing I want to talk about here is like Daniel Jones. Obviously, like I know last week I went out a rant about the defense, and Brian Burns had like 7 pressures and sacks and whatnot. Great. What I want to talk about is Daniel Jones because he played good. He only had 10 incompletions, 236 yards, and 2 touchdowns, right? He does seem to be missing the deep ball quite a bit this year, which he kind of hits, I think, past few years, but for some reason this year it's not there. Whatever. Is this now? I know which way I'm leaning, but is this a possible? Okay, this is where the incline hits and he starts getting a little bit better, or is this just a fluke because this is the Browns and it's just gonna, they're gonna play Dallas this Thursday and it's gonna go right back down?
I gotta lean fluke. I mean, how many years have we been going back and forth with this? 4 or 5? Like,
yeah, six.
You are what you are. And
yeah.
I think that the Giants organized his contract with that in mind, with how they can kind of get out after this year. So it's not like he hasn't played a good game before. That happens, but
he's played a lot of good games before, but it's not consistent.
Exactly. It's not the norm. So I feel like great. They got to win. They were able to, hold off the Browns. Again, it's still the Browns, which they're not the Browns of old. They just don't have a competent offense and quarterback who can lead them.
Right.
But I'm not really any higher on Daniel Jones than I was. I mean,
me either.
Not very high
because like you said, it's just another story. Like he has had good games in the past, very good games, particularly against Washington and whatnot. And it's always against the teams that are just kind of like, okay. But then when he gets to Dallas or Philly or any of those teams, it just crumbles. So I think it's a fluke. I think the Giants should be gearing to draft a quarterback this year. Nick, you're a Giants fan. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a fluke as well. I think they need to just go all in and find another quarterback, really, to be honest. That being said, I've seen a few posts on social media, both on Twitter and Instagram, that statistically say they claim Daniel Jones is not as bad as he looks, and it might be the rest of the team, but I really don't think so. I think that's an old narrative.
It is.
This season we're starting to really see he's the common denominator and he's making some plays that's just like really not it. I mean,
for sure,
a win's a win, but for now I'll say it's a fluke.
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up because this is probably the best offensive line he's had in quite some time because they are actually holding up quite well. And which is a shame because we're a year removed from Saquon, so I could only imagine what Saquon would be doing behind a better offensive line with the Giants. So that's kind of a shame. But yeah, I'm right there with you. It's for sure a fluke if you ask me. I think this Thursday he's gonna go right back into his ways. And like Justin said, how long do we have to do the song and dance for? So we're not going to do the song and dance for too long. We are going to move on, and that is to the Patriots' struggles. Great. I honestly thought this would be I honestly thought this would be a closer game, a little bit better game. Patriots just going to generate the offense, and obviously you can elaborate. Drake Drake May obviously made his way into the game, so you can go ahead and take that away.
Yeah, it's just basically what everyone feared at the beginning of the season, at least Patriot fan wise. They can't protect the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Jacoby sacked 5 times. Drake May, who only played the fourth quarter, I believe, sacked twice. They are not able to hold up, and in the past couple years, it's been, oh, they don't have any receivers, they don't have weapons. Where I think that they do have some unproven weapons, but they can't get them the ball because the quarterback can't get it to them because they're not as accurate or whatever. But last game, really what it was they don't have enough time to throw. And Jacoby Brissett is not someone who can create with his feet and get out of the pocket too well and really move around and create some time for himself. So that limits him, right? Some of these guys are getting open, like Pop Douglas can get open. Jalen Polk, he's shown some ability to get open, but Jacoby just doesn't have the time to hit him. And really this week is when they started to have the conversation of, okay, when's the time for Drake, when he's coming in? And seeing, I mean, he did decently well in kind of garbage time, but he took two pretty big sacks. Not his own fault necessarily, but I'm just saying, like, hits wise. And you know, we talked about it briefly on our last pod about college football, where this is tough, where you don't know when is too soon to put him in. Like, you want him to get game reps, you want him to play, get some experience, but at the same time, you're not setting him up to succeed because the offensive line just is not at a place right now where they can hold up and allow him to do his job, right? And you know, there's been several hits that Brissett has taken in both the regular season and the preseason, where it's like, is he good enough? Do we need to call somebody? And like, I just worry that's going to happen to Drake too, because you don't want him to get like a season-ending injury and like have that run into his sophomore season. Like, they're playing the long game here, which they should. Which I'm happy they said that with Brissett, and they've said it sometime soon they'll transition to Drake. But I wouldn't until the offensive line really can prove themselves a little bit better and show some protection. Again, the Jets are a good defense, so it's understandable to an extent. But like 7 sacks and however many QB pressures, like that's.
Are the Patriots in any position to make any kind of trades?
I mean, yeah, they could, but do they want to necessarily? Because they're in a state. This is like I don't want to say like a rebuilding. I guess you could say a rebuilding year, where they want to see some progress out of their young players. They want Drake May to play. They want to make some leaps, and prove like
an obvious improvement.
Right. But like, I don't think that they will. I don't see them being in like the playoff hunt later down the line. Like, so I don't think that they would make any trades. I mean, maybe they would just like get like a younger tackle. And let me back up. They do have like a couple of offensive linemen that they had drafted that give them time to develop fine. But I don't necessarily think they'll do this where they trade for someone with the future in mind, or trade for an offensive lineman with the future in mind.
Yeah.
But maybe they will. I mean, they have to do something, and I'm not in the camp of like, oh, like they have to make a move before Drake May starts, and like why aren't they doing anything? Like, again, they're playing the long game here, where they have a bunch of cap space opening up next year. I shouldn't be certain that they'll sign someone on the offensive line.
I just asked that because for me, it's like that fine line of like, when do we fully give the reins to Drake May? And I think you're right. If they play their cards right, they could have a good quarterback. They just got to hold off as long as they can with this offensive line. There's no way they can put him in with this offensive line on a consistent basis. If like you're getting blown out and you want to put him in for a few minutes at the end of the game just to get those few game speed reps, that's fine. But I think full starter should be out of the question this year. That's just my opinion. I don't think it should happen.
At this rate, I don't know if Jacoby will make it the whole year. That's part of the problem.
Well, that's obviously another thing. Do they have a third quarterback?
Bazooka Joe Milton. So he's
Well,
probably
hey.
even more raw than Drake May.
Right, but if you're talking in terms of when you drafted May and when you drafted him, who are you more likely to protect?
Well, you want to protect May, but I don't think that they're gonna make May's number 2 on the depth chart. I don't know if you want to like flip flop him and just throw Joe in. Hey, protect our future here. You go take the hits here.
That's what the NFL does almost every week.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know, man. You've seen it too many times, and there's been more of an uproar lately about these young quarterbacks sitting for a while and just not seeing the field. Like everyone talks about, like Tom Brady played in his first year a lot, and Aaron Rodgers played in his first year a lot. They both didn't, and
Right.
They're all-time greats. One
Mahomes,
being the greatest of all
Mahomes
time.
is another great
Mahomes
example
is
too,
another
where
one.
he was able to sit behind Alex Smith. I think his situation is different because they already had a playoff team around him, right?
I'm just saying there's no need to rush into him being a full-time starter this year behind that offensive line.
Agreed. I don't think there's a rush. I do want to see it at some point, just to have him get the game reps, and still have Jacoby in his ear, kind of instructing him on certain things, right? In terms of when, at least what's been kind of thrown out there by various analysts and stuff, they kind of targeted even from the start of the season, week 5 against Miami. It's in New England. Brady's actually calling the game, I think. So that's kind of a interesting moment, I guess. Next week they play at San Francisco. That's not the time to start them, even though San Francisco is not really up to their typical standard.
Not
but
against
that's a tough team.
Not against the Jungle Cat.
No. So I think if anything, they'll do the Dolphins game. I would maybe guess the Jags game, but that one's in London, I think. I think it's going to be sooner rather than later. Do I want that? Not necessarily, but at the same time, as a fan, it's tough watching Jacoby Brissett throw for under 100 yards and not have.
But you think Drake May will throw over 100 yards?
I think he probably has a better chance at it, and just in terms of his athleticism, like I said, Brissett is a little bit on the slower side. Drake May can kind of mobilize out of the pocket and make some throws on the run. And I don't know how Alex Van Pelt, the OC, calls plays necessarily, but I think he probably is a little bit more comfortable with Brissett making calls at the line and doesn't need to make easy plays for him necessarily, because you see this sometimes with the younger quarterbacks. Okay, let's start off the game hot. Let's get them in plays that they are most comfortable with, just to get their confidence up and kind of call the game that way, right? Kind of protect him, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he may do that more for Drake May versus Jacoby Brissett. So that might kind of show May playing better, at least in terms of statistics. But I don't know. We'll see what they end up doing. They have said that they're going to start him at some point this season. So when that is, that's remaining to be seen.
Nick, what would you do? Would you play him in and throw him to the lion's den, or would you try to hold off as long as you can?
I'd hold off as long as I can. There's no need to rush. I think the long-term plan is more important than the short-term plan.
Yeah. Which is interesting because, like you mentioned, that long-term plan. I don't think a long-term plan includes of throwing your rookie quarterback to the wolves, especially behind a real bad offensive line.
Nope, definitely not. Nope.
Yeah, and this isn't from a. I mean, I guess it is partially from a fan perspective, because I'm just looking for something else. I'm already sick of the Brissett. It's 2nd and 15 after that sack. Okay, let's get the punter ready. Get his leg warmed up.
I think you could just take you can take a breath in knowing that you have something lined up, right? If the cards are played right, it could be a very quick turnaround for the Patriots if everything is done right here. Everyone's buying into the new coach. Everybody loves him. It seems like yeah, they're probably going to struggle against better teams, but they haven't looked bad until that Jets game.
Yeah.
And who knows what they look like the rest of the season. But like I said, patience. It's not like you guys weren't bad for the last 10 years since like the Giants were.
Yeah.
You guys have success that's very reachable.
Mhm.
So I would just say we had our success there. We're going to have a quick turnaround. And then, like you said, the future. Big time picture is the future.
Yeah, give it some time. Like
Future.
Good one, Nick.
Well, next we could talk about the Vikings because they're off to a pretty shocking start. 3-0.
Score!
Honestly, their
Score!
first game against the Giants. Obviously, they're going to win there. They're first in the NFC North now. And I know it's really early, but they seem to be running the ball fairly well. And obviously, quarterback play has been pretty good. Where do you kind of see them? I know it's early. Where do you kind of see them at the end of the season?
I think that it will correct to the mean with
Mhm.
Sam Darnold. For whatever reason, Minnesota has a history of backup quarterbacks coming in and playing quite well, like with Case Keenum, right?
Yep.
I think with a lot of these teams, we're still in the preseason mode where they're still trying to figure things out. Guys, like the starters are actually playing more consistently. So, obviously they're already playing good.
Yeah.
But we kind of talked about it with Derek Carr last week, and
Mhm.
that showed out to be true, at least in the last game.
Mhm.
When you get to a certain part in your career, you are who you are.
Yeah.
Arnold didn't show many flashes with the Jets again. And this is something that we got to give him credit for. At least he is younger than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
is-
That's why I saw that and I was like, whoa, are like the Vikings going to actually accidentally pull something out here of just magic?
Right. And
Like, I agree they are who they are, but he was playing for the Jets.
yeah, and then the Panthers after that, which two not so
Yeah.
great organizations, at least.
And look at
historically.
Baker Mayfield going from Carolina to Tampa Bay now.
Right.
It's crazy.
So, at least by the end of the season, I wouldn't be surprised if they got a wild card spot necessarily.
I was going to say the
They
same.
seem-
I think
they seem like-
they're a first round or they're a wildcat exit. I think.
Yeah,
in my
with some of the ways that some of the teams are shaking out, like the Rams, they're completely decimated with injuries. The Bucks lost to the Broncos at home last week. So I'm talking about like some of the playoff
Yeah.
teams from last year. Some
the
spots,
49ers don't look all that hot right now.
right? They're dropping like flies too. So, I wouldn't be surprised if they made. I don't think they'll win the division. I think that's still the Lions' division to lose, or even the Packers, right?
Mhm.
But I wouldn't be surprised with a playoff spot for them. I think that they'll be like 1 or 2 games over 500. I don't expect them to be like a number 1 seed or anything like that.
Yeah,
but-
I'm kind of on the same page with you on that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like a ceiling for them. Is a
which is not a
wild
bad
card.
ceiling.
No, not at all. It's considering that they're they were going to start Sam Darnold to start the season, I think, anyway. But their first round pick, McCarthy's, was out for the season from the start of the preseason.
He's probably kicking himself right now.
I know, yeah. But yeah, considering where
you go
where
in,
people
you get drafted, you think you're going to be a starter, and then
kaput,
freaking Sam Darnold
Yeah.
comes in and just starts lighting it up.
who's like
Oh man,
probably like a year old than you at this point.
yeah.
Yeah, but an impressive start from them, especially like beating the Texans. The Texans haven't played up to their standard last year, they set. But that's still an impressive win.
Nick, do you have any thoughts on the Vikings?
I do actually, and I'm going to get to them later when I won't spoil it yet, but it's in our notes. I think they actually might be legit. Now, I don't know if they're going to go all the way, but I think they actually have a very favorable schedule coming up. They have 3 tough games with the Packers, Jets, and Lions, but after that, they have a long segment that goes Rams, Colts, Jaguars, Titans, Bears, Cards, Falcons, and Bears again. So I think they have some potential to make more noise. I also think Sam Darnold, like you guys mentioned, he was not in favorable environments, so maybe he's finally in a position to succeed.
And
you
he's
could
still
argue,
young.
and he's still young. Yeah, third overall in 2018. So he still got a little bit of time to grow, especially in a favorable environment. And I also like their defense, to be honest. I'm pretty impressed with
Yeah.
that so far. So we'll see what happens the rest of the season, but I think they have a great chance to make some noise and maybe even go on a run in the playoffs if they can sustain this.
Nick, you
Yeah,
make a good point about
that
their
stretch.
schedule too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that stretch
that's
is.
that's very favorable for them.
That's huge.
If I'm a Vikings fan, my tongue is hanging for that
Yeah.
part of the schedule.
They kind of won the games that they weren't supposed to. At least like
Ah.
the Niners win, right? If they were
Yeah.
probably supposed to be the Giants. Texans, no one expected them to win that one either. So they're already kind of ahead of the 8 ball in terms of, you know, their win total.
Who they're
I'd say.
playing, who they're playing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got the Lions twice, of course, the divisional games. But if they can beat the Lions even once, then I think there's
Split.
something serious here.
Oh, well, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, next we'll talk about the Panthers. They get their first win over the Raiders, and I don't know what's going on with these backup quarterbacks, but now all of a sudden Andy Dalton is out there zipping it all over the
The
yard.
Red Rifle back at it again.
Yeah. Bryce Young obviously benched. I think it was the right move. Even going back to last year, he just has not put up any numbers, and I know that team is very bad. Then they throw in Andy Dalton, and they just look like a totally different offense. Great, and it's not against a bad defense either. The Raiders do not have a bad defense, at least from
Some
what
guys are making business decisions. As
Some
Antonio Pierce put
guys
it.
are making business decisions.
And
yes,
I
for
saw
sure.
I saw a tweet about who that might be, and
Yeah.
there was one. Actually, I shouldn't say one. Several clips of their cornerback Jack Jones, who is a former Patriot.
Mhm.
He took a lot of plays off. Did not try at all.
Yeah.
And he's had some issues in the past.
Mhm.
On another podcast I listened to, they call him Panda Jack because he once stole from a Panda Express. So
Oh man,
it's got some off the field issues too, and maybe some attitude issues. But yeah, you shouldn't be lit up by Andy Dalton and the Panthers. That's
No,
it's
over
not a good
300
look.
yards, 3 touchdowns. Crazy. That's just crazy. And
Yeah.
about the business decisions, I got a feeling Antonio Pierce will get that solved pretty quickly, especially being a former player, nonetheless a linebacker. He's probably not gonna want to deal with that kind of stuff for too long. So
He seems
he'll
like
probably
a
end up weaving them out.
head guy. So
Yeah.
I hope that he can kind of get them in line, and their other leaders have to step up too. Like Max Crosby obviously plays his behind off every game.
Yeah.
But you gotta have the not just the coaches relay that message. It's got to be coming from the players too.
And I'm not expecting any kind of run of the Panthers. I just think maybe Bryce Young just wasn't seeing the field as well as a veteran would. And I'm going to say like the experience was the difference maybe a little bit in just reading defenses.
How about the confidence? We've mentioned several times these young quarterbacks, if you just throw them out to the Wolves, like they did last year when they drafted him first overall, they didn't have much around him. And what ended up happening? He ended up being, we're not going to go ahead and say bust quite yet. We're only into 3 weeks a year too.
I think it's early. And I think he reacted very well too, because if you saw after the game, he stood by the exit ramp while the team was going back in the locker room, and he stayed out to shake everybody's hand. So he's handling it very well too.
Yeah, that's what you want to see from your guy.
Yeah.
I forgot what report I saw, but they were talking about trading him, right? I'm like, let's pump the brakes a little.
Pump the brakes.
A little soon. I don't know. Like
people love Overreaction Monday, man. They love Overreaction Monday.
Yeah, they do.
They really do. Nick, any thoughts on the Panthers?
No further thoughts besides shock. I mean I was just surprised.
Agreed.
Really.
I think the game of the weekend to really talk about was the Ravens and Cowboys. That was just I don't know.
Talking about it.
one half was just like, wow, Dallas looks really bad, and then the other half was like, okay, Ravens, stop playing around.
This is what they do though. The Ravens, like they're able to get out to these leads, and
Yeah.
sometimes they just can't hold on to it. Like Lamar,
Which is so weird because they're a running team.
that's my point.
Yeah.
It makes no
That's my
sense.
point. Like they should be able to just run these games out, but Lamar only freaking threw it 15 times. Like and Derrick Henry ran it 25.
Which is
Like-
great. That's what we said last week. That's what needed to happen. They needed to
and he
get
went
Derrick
for
Henry the
151
ball.
and 2 touchdowns. Like
Yeah.
clearly, like he's still got it.
Yeah.
But you can't let the Cowboys back into that game. Like
No.
the final score does not reflect the level of dominance that the Ravens exerted over the
Yeah,
Cowboys.
no.
They
It
really got to
honestly,
clean that up.
it honestly could have been like 40-0. It really
It should have been. It should have
easily.
been. Yeah.
Obviously, you mentioned Derrick Henry, the 2 touchdowns, 150 yards. If they can keep that up, I think that's where they start winning a chunk of games. For some reason, though, despite Derrick Henry getting those carries, Lamar still had 14 carries, which I think last week he had 16 when Derrick Henry didn't have many carries.
Yeah.
But is this just the way it needs to be for Lamar to be Lamar? Because you don't want to take away what Lamar is, but in the same breath, like you said, what do you have? 14 or 15 completions?
12.
He had 12 completions, so that means like 15 attempts.
Yep.
Is probably what I saw. And then he's just running 14 times. Is that the recipe that's going to get them to the Super Bowl? Or is it not? I'm not quite sure. I don't like those guys that say, oh, he's a running back. I don't quite believe that. But
I think he does lack some throwing ability. Like I don't have that same confidence in him as I do with like a Josh Allen,
I need to see him.
Pat Mahomes.
I need to see him win a game with his arm. I need to see him win a game with his arm. That's all I need to see.
We've seen that too much. Another stat that's kind of aside to this: Lamar has only lost 1 game to the NFC in his whole career,
which is wild.
That's insane. Very impressive.
But then again, like if you're not the NFC, he's not playing them every game, so they're not.
He should have went to the Falcons. That way, he could really, further dominate the NFC.
Man, they could easily be a Super Bowl favorite. They can easily be a Super Bowl favorite. It's just consistency, keeping that run game going, and then I just want to see Lamar win a game with his arm. That's all I want to see. I'm not saying he's a running back. Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I just want to see him win a game with his arm.
Yeah,
like
agreed.
Maybe it's a game where Derrick Henry doesn't have he gets the touches but can't quite, doesn't have the same effect. Maybe instead of him running the ball 14 to 20 times, he ends up slinging it around and winning the game. I think that's it. And then the other news story out of this is somehow Dallas is in last place in the NFC East. I'm going to say that is harder. That is harder to do in the NFC East than it is to win a division in all the other divisions.
Yeah,
you have to be worse than the Giants and the Commanders to have that spot.
And right now they are.
That's atrocious. So if I were, so many people would be getting fired just for that.
I mean, McCarthy should have been fired 2 years ago at this point.
It's
just bound to happen this year, but
holy cow!
And it's not like they don't have talent or they don't have the guys.
They have no excuse. They have literal no excuse. But anyways, Nick, do you have anything on the Ravens or Cowboys?
Yeah, final thoughts for me is I agree with what you guys are saying in general, and especially they could so easily be a Super Bowl contender. What scares me with the Ravens is I'm afraid of their killer instinct. I'm not entirely sure it's there. Like with this game, this was a good example of it's like they were firmly in the lead. They had a great position and they kind of just let the Cowboys come back. I feel like historically we've seen the Ravens kind of struggle to make it happen in clutch time with that killer instinct. And even in the earlier weeks of the season where they just lose by the slimmest of margins, it's like
a toe.
Yeah, so you need to make these moments happen if you want to win the Super Bowl. So yeah,
they
I'm a little
they
worried.
miss all the plays that the Chiefs make.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the big thing.
That's the only
That's what it comes
difference.
down to, right?
That's
And
literally the only difference.
I will give a little bit of credit to Lamar with that opening week game against the Chiefs. I did not expect them to drive down and even get into like scoring position to end the game. He
Right.
did do
Right.
that,
Right.
so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Didn't end up finishing it,
Right.
but at least he got down there. I still kind of stand by what I said, where I don't trust him to win the game with his arm. Late in the game, like I do Josh Allen, Burrow, Mahomes, and so on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Chiefs. Speaking of the Chiefs escaped the Falcons again. Like they just seem to every week just find a way, which is what good teams do,
So
right?
annoying. Yeah.
I think the story really was the Falcons' offensive line just couldn't hold up. Kirk was getting pressured. The only time it was working is if Kirk was bootlegging or if it was play action. That was the only time it was working. Other than that, he was getting hit and chased pretty much the entire game. That's not an easy defensive line to go up against, especially with Chris Jones.
Nick Bolton, very good too. He showed up on
Yeah,
the last play
yeah.
of the game there with
And obviously in true Chiefs fashion, the story is the no pass interference call at the end there. Was it pass interference? Yes or no?
These suck.
Mind you,
go back and look at these.
I know he's not looking at the ball.
He's not grabbing at the ball. Yeah, and he's preventing
the waist. Sorry.
Yeah, he's preventing him to get back to the ball.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right.
That checks off literally every box.
Yeah, but fine, throw the flag. Are they going to get in? Who knows? They couldn't get it on 4th and 1 anyway.
I know. I'm just saying. Though, it's just a constant like. I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists that think the NFL is rigged, but man, they can't make it look any more sketch than they do with the Chiefs sometimes.
Let me give you a stat. In Brady's whole career, he has had 17 interceptions called back due to penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Mahomes has already got 17 interceptions called back because of penalty in more than half the amount of time.
Granted, it is a little bit of a different game than when Brady started.
Yes,
with
absolutely.
The defensive rules.
But that stat alone,
that is crazy. Still,
that's oh my god, it's a lot.
Yeah, and then obviously
now I get it. Like when I being a Patriots fan, or like all the Patriots get all the calls up. Now I understand. Now I get it why it's annoying for everyone.
It's frustrating.
Yeah,
I don't know what.
Which we didn't
like
get
I said,
all the calls. I can think of like 5 off the top of my head.
I'm not saying like I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but man, they are making it hard for those people that are kind of on the edge to not think that there's something fishy going on.
Yeah.
Nick, thoughts on Chiefs Falcons?
Yeah, no more thoughts. I just agree with what you guys are saying wholeheartedly. It is frustrating, but
yeah.
They are a good team.
I don't even mind the Chiefs, right? And I just want to see them lose. I have literally no quarrel with the Chiefs at all. I love Travis Kelce. I love Chris Jones. I don't have a single hate in my body for the Chiefs, but for some reason I need to see them lose.
This is how I feel about the Warriors as well. They're not really what they used to be, but like they just kept making the finals. They kept winning. And
winners win, bro. Winners win.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Love Steph Curry, love Klay Thompson, can't stand Draymond Green, but that's beside the point. But like, it's like I hate you, but damn, I respect you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the Chiefs. They've built what they have going on. They've built it over several years. They hit on their draft picks, and they struck gold with Mahomes. So
yeah.
It's like, damn, I want you to lose, but damn, I respect you.
Yeah, it's definitely another Patriots thing where it's just like people love to hate them because they're winning. And, you didn't think I didn't think you were going to see another thing like the Patriots for quite some time. And then Andy Reid and
a couple years.
Patrick Mahomes was just like, all right, yeah, hold our beer. We got it. Still crazy to think about.
Yeah.
Next, Bengals, they dropped to 0-3, lost against the Commanders. Their defense doesn't look good. I don't know what the heck is going on in Cincinnati. It looks like they need a restart at this point. Not a complete restart, just like a reset button of like, I don't know. It all looks bad.
I think I don't want to point fingers, but like we've mentioned it past couple weeks with Zach Taylor, like they're just not coming out like ready to start the season, and that's just evident again, right?
Mhm.
Washington didn't punt, and they score on every drive, which
Yeah.
what
Wait,
hasn't happened.
actually,
It's like
I think Nick has a crazy stat about this game.
Yeah, it's wild that this is the first game in 84 years of the NFL that had no punts and no turnovers.
wow,
That's insane.
Yeah.
yeah, but you can't have that against a rookie quarterback in January.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will give that
Not
guy
only-
credit too. Like he freaking slung that ball.
Oh, for sure.
At
And
certain points, like-
he's confident, dude. He's got that like fourth down play. He's like yelling at his coaches, "Let's go, let's go, let's go." It's such a difference maker when you have a rookie quarterback that has that much confidence already, especially on a team like the Commanders.
It's
and
crazy.
they're playing on the road with it too.
Yeah.
You know, and he like give that guy credit. He was fantastic. But the Bengals, like they just, I don't know what it is, but I feel like they just got to get some like fresh restart, like you said. And I think Zach Taylor's the one. Like prior to them making the Super Bowl, you know, no one was really impressed with him.
No.
And now I think he's just kind of coasted off of that. And granted, yes, they've had some playoff success outside of just making the Super Bowl. Like they've won some games here and there, but how much of that is him? How much of that is Joe Burrow and the rest of the talent that they have? You know.
Yeah, I just think the defense has got to get figured out for sure, and maybe more offensive lineman, another wide receiver. I don't really know which order, but I think they're a little bit farther out than people think from winning a Super Bowl. To be honest,
Which is upsetting. That's one thing that I do root for. I love Joe Burrow.
Especially just being in the AFC with Mahomes and Lamar, and it's not an easy thing to compete with. And like you said, the coach, some unanswered questions there maybe, but I would definitely be looking around if I'm the Bengals saying, what do we need to fix right now? Because I don't think they can wait. They're already 0-3. I don't know if their schedule gets any easier or not.
Probably not. They still have to play their division. They got to play the Ravens. They got to play the Steelers. They got to play the Browns.
What do you think TJ Watt is going to
Figure it
do to that offensive line?
Exactly.
TJ Watt is going to rip them apart.
Right. And I think like with I saw some stat. It was like teams that start 0-3 have a 2.5% chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Crazy like that.
Yeah.
Granted, like not every team that starts 0-3 is of the same caliber as like the Bengals typically are. But still, like that's kind of a damning stat where
I think it's more concerning when teams are losing and you can't for sure pick out why they're losing, rather than it's like a team like, oh, I know why they're losing. It's the offensive line or it's the quarterback.
Yeah, it's just like, and here and there, it's just like bad luck too. Like they really, they didn't come prepared to play against Patriots. That's for certain, right? Week 2, they just lose on a correctly called pass.
Correctly called pass. It was
whatever.
That one was.
Yes, fine. And then with Washington, like the defense just didn't step up and couldn't stop Jaden Daniels.
Anything,
like it's something different every week. It's not like, okay, quarterback isn't playing good. That's what we need to fix. Or, the defense isn't holding up. That's what it's just,
all three losses are chalked up to something different.
Right. So it's
very hard to pinpoint.
Is the overall problem.
Right. And I'm sure the coaching staff knows, and I'm sure they have an idea, but they got to get this thing turned around. They have too much talent to be sitting here at 0-3 and already worrying about the season 3 games in.
Yep.
Let's move on. Before we do a preview to week 4, 2 early Super Bowl picks. I got actually the Bills and the Lions. The Bills, I feel better about the Bills without what's his name? Brain fart. But yeah, Stephon Diggs. because I don't know, it seems like they're spraying the ball around a little bit more. They're running the ball more willingly, and they're more of like, I could be wrong because I'm not a fan of this division, but they're more quietly good this year than in past years where you've heard so much talk about, oh, the Bills, the Bills, the Bills. This year it kind of seems like they're just winning games, but they're kind of under the radar this year.
Yep.
That's
They're
why I like
forgotten
the
about.
Bills.
I
And-
totally agree.
yeah.
And if you had told me that, or if you had said that, like, before the season started, I would have said you're crazy because
Mhm.
they lost so much offensively. They lost their
Mhm.
top 2 targets, right?
Yeah.
And Diggs and Davis. Diggs, that might be addition by subtraction with like his locker room issues, whatever.
Yeah.
But I am shocked at how effective that offense is right now.
Yeah.
Like last year, they really ran everything through James Cook.
Yep.
He, like, was their whole offense, right?
Yeah.
And now, like you said, he's the Allen's spreading it around. I think he threw for 4 touchdowns yesterday against the Jags. Fine, whatever. But I'm really impressed with them so far. We'll see if they can keep it up. But they're looking really good and much better than I thought.
Mm-hmm. We'll move on to your picks, Justin.
So this is prior to the season. I came up with this, but I have Lions over Ravens.
Right now, that seems like a pretty good pick.
Yeah. I'm a little less confident about the Ravens, kind of like what we talked about before. Like the Ravens were both these teams were just right there last year in the championship,
especially the Lions.
Right, and then just like a couple plays here and there, and they could have been playing each other last year.
Mm-hmm.
With the Lions, I just feel like they're one of the most complete teams, well coached. They have at least a serviceable quarterback. They have great weapons all around. Defense got better, which is helpful too. And then the Ravens, you might want to default to the Chiefs, like, okay, until otherwise proven, just pick them. But no one's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row. So I just kind of went that route with that.
I will say, with that whole 3 Super Bowls in a row, I think this year more people are saying it will happen than previous years.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there hasn't been too many. I mean, before the Chiefs have won back-to-back, the last time it happened was the Patriots in 04 or 03, 04. So it's been a decent amount of time. But like, I'm not picking the Chiefs. So I won't touch on them. But with the Ravens, I think that the addition of Derrick Henry is massive. You saw it with the Cowboys game. 20 some of the touches, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
It just took him 3 weeks to figure out.
Right. That's what you can expect from that guy. And if you have that, Lamar did run for 14 times. If they can kind of give some more carries to Justice Hill, I think that'll be helpful.
Yeah.
But they're always well coached, so a little bit slower of a start. So I'm still early in the season. I'm still sticking with my gut, and I got the Lions over Ravens.
All right, Nick, we can go into yours.
Yeah.
This one's spicy. This is a spicy one.
This is a spicy one.
Hot take.
All right, let's start with I guess they're both kind of spicy, but I think personally, I know no one's ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row, but I would feel pretty stupid betting against Kansas City and people who know how to win.
That's very fair.
They're a machine, and they just keep dismantling teams even when they shouldn't. And I hate to watch it, but it just keeps happening. It's like, please stop. And Andy Reid with his walrus mustache is just looking at me on the sidelines, and I'm like, please stop.
Me that thought he looked like a walrus. Oh my god! I'm
like, please stop doing this. But nevertheless,
wait a minute. Wait, quick pause. Did you ever hear the story about Andy Reid getting a play from the janitor at the Chiefs facility?
Stop.
Oh yeah, he did.
This one
hunting.
This one janitor kept coming up. He kept joking with them, and Andy Reid said, "You draw me up a play, and I'll run it." So he shows him this play and the concept, and Andy Reid's like, "I love it." So he runs it. It scores a touchdown, and the janitor's sitting at the game with his wife, and he goes, "That's my play," and the wife was just like, "No, it's not." And he was like, "Yeah, it was."
Man,
it ended up being his play, which is
crazy.
Nuts. Anyway, Nick, continue.
Yeah, no, that's a wild story, but he's resourceful. What can you say? That's another reason to not bet against him. He's got janitors at his disposal. He's got everybody. But anyway, the Chiefs are certainly one of my picks, but I have another one that we talked about earlier, and that could be maybe the Vikings. Now, hold on, that might sound crazy.
It does.
But-
It doesn't. It's not. It does sound crazy.
Yeah.
But continue.
I feel like, and I'm not really the biggest football guy, technically speaking, so I know this sounds wild, but when I watch sports in general, sometimes every year you see a Cinderella team come together, and it feels like there's something about this team where you can just see like they've put pieces together and they have a chance to go far. I don't know if that is as far as winning the Super Bowl, but I think their ceiling is certainly a deep playoff run. Their tests will come because we mentioned earlier that somewhat Mickey Mouse schedule, but their tests will come when they play the Lions. And if they can come out on top against the Lions, I think there is really something there. And they've got a revitalized Sam Darnold, good looking defense. There's certainly something going on. So my eyes are on them, I think, to do something surprising.
Skull Vikings. Skull.
Skull.
Skull. I love that chant.
Yeah.
That's such a freaking sick thing that they do.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a crazier pick, but I think each week you watch the Vikings, it gets a little bit more believable just because, like you said, there is that one Cinderella team usually. And like Justin said, they're a little bit ahead of schedule already, beating the 49ers and whatnot. So we'll have to see, but it could be a sleeper pick, to be honest. Well, let's preview week 4. We'll just go through our picks really quick of each game, and that we'll call it, right? All right, we'll start with Cowboys and Giants. I'm going to go – I think this is going to be closer than you think. I think because of just the reason Dallas is a little bit on a slope right now. I'm going to have the Cowboys winning by a field goal.
Ooh.
Okay. All right. Closer than expected. I'm going to go Cowboys too, more than a field goal, but it'll stay close for a bit. Maybe they win by like a touchdown.
I'm going to go Giants. That's just the fan in me. I feel like I want to see the Cowboys lose. We might see something really funny here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go on the wave. I picked the Giants to lose last week and they won, so I'm just gonna keep picking them to lose, I think.
All right, go with this. You're not superstitious. You're a little stitious.
Just
Not
a little.
superstitious.
Saints Falcons. This is a tricky one because both of them took losses last week, kind of in weird ways.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with the Falcons. They hung around with the defending champs, the Saints. I think the first 2 weeks were a fluke, so I'll go Falcons.
Yeah. I'll also go Falcons. They looked good against the Eagles when they beat them by 1 point too. So, yeah.
I'm going to go Saints. I'm a little bit worried about that Falcons offensive line. Rams, Bears.
Rams don't have anybody, but they do have Stafford at least. This is a tough one. I'll go Bears. I don't think the Rams should have won last week. It was kind of a fluky game, and I mean the Bears aren't that much better. But I'll go with the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to ride the Bears too. I'm not too sure about this though.
I'm also not sure about this, but I'm going to go with the Bears as well.
Yeah, Bears.
Vikings, Packers.
Jordan Love, I think, is back for this game.
Okay.
So if that's the case, I will go Packers. It is at Green Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll go Packers.
Yeah, I'm kind of actually thinking the Packers win this and then the Vikings come back and win against Detroit. But for here, I'm going to go Packers.
Okay.
Yeah, first game back for Jordan Love, and it's at home. Give me the Vikings.
Okay.
Steelers, Colts.
All right, over under with how many turnovers Anthony Richardson has against this defense?
Can we say a lot?
Yeah, we'll just leave.
I just want to say a lot.
It's going to be a lot. He's going to have at least 2 picks.
Steelers are going to absolutely crucify them on defense.
And let me just say too, as a Ohio State fan, I'm happy to see Justin Fields at least succeed. I don't really think he's lighting the world on fire necessarily, but he's not losing games.
Doesn't need to.
He doesn't need to,
to.
right? They got that good defense. He's doing exactly what they need them to do, and I'm happy to see it for him.
Nick,
Yep, Steelers.
Broncos, Jets.
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 I think that Broncos game was a fluke.
Yeah,
too.
Jets for sure. Jets.
Yeah.
Eagles, Buccaneers.
This is a little tough one considering the Bucks. Eagles barely won, and the Bucks just looked like crap against the Broncos.
Yeah.
I will go Eagles, I think.
Okay, Nick.
I'll go the opposite and say Bucks, just because I'm still confident in Baker Mayfield after that 2-game sample size. We'll see though.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are going to bounce back from that game last week. I think Bucks win.
Okay.
Well, something's got to give here. Bengals, Panthers.
Bengals can't lose to the Panthers. They can't.
The fact that you're
There's no
saying they
way.
can't lose to the Panthers is kind of scaring me, to be honest.
Yeah, I know, but I don't see it. It's got to be the Bengals.
Nick.
Ooh, this might be spicy, but I'm thinking Panthers because, hear me out on this one too. I feel like that Commanders game was a really hard pill to swallow. That was supposed to be their like get back game. Like, all right, guys, let's stop messing around. They're back home at the Jungle, and it's like, we're going to take this, and they don't. And like you guys mentioned, they don't have any clear answers. So I'm really worried for their mental, and Carolina probably feels really good after that switch.
Yeah, right.
So
I am actually going to agree with Nick. I think Panthers win here. Just like Nick said, just the fact that the Bengals are kind of in limbo right now. And honestly, prove to me you can win first, and then we'll talk. And another good point Nick brought up is, last week was supposed to be the turnaround for the Bengals. It wasn't. So Panthers. Jaguars, Texans. This one's pretty easy for me.
That's easy.
Yeah, Texans. I think we're all Texans on that.
Mhm.
Commanders, Cardinals.
Two electric players, Daniels and
Yeah.
and
I'm going to go Commanders. The confidence of Daniels right now is the difference right now for me.
all right. I was the same. I'll go with them.
Yeah,
No.
I'm going to go Commanders too. That McDaniels to Scary Terry connection is
Yeah,
pretty
we love Scary
powerful.
Terry.
Yeah. Patriots, Niners.
Why are you asking? Move on, Niners.
Nick.
No,
yeah,
no,
Niners.
don't do that. Don't even give me any hope you're rooting for
Yeah,
the
49ers for sure.
Yeah.
Especially against the Jumbo Cat. Browns, Raiders.
Browns can't be that.
If you're asking me who's more in trouble, I'd say the Browns. Who is going to rebound faster? Definitely the Raiders. I'm picking the Raiders.
I'm gonna go Browns. I don't think the Raiders are that great. I think that Ravens win was like kind of weird.
Mhm.
Actually, the Ravens win.
The Browns just lost to the Giants, right?
I know, and I'm not confident about it, but I'm just gonna go Browns anyway.
Nick.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders, I think.
All right, Chiefs, Chargers. I think we all understand the assignment here.
Chiefs. I don't think
Chiefs.
Herbert's playing, or I don't know if Herbert's playing, but he did leave last week.
Oh boy, yeah, for sure, Chiefs then.
So
Yeah.
Bills, Ravens, spicy one.
that's a good game.
Yeah. Oh man, have the Bills really played an opponent that can run the ball?
Let's see. They played the Jags. They played the Cardinals. Who they played? Oh, they played the Dolphins, right?
Yeah, Dolphins. So not really. I'm gonna go Ravens.
Yeah. If I'm picking them to win the Super Bowl, they got to win this game.
I can't imagine
Yeah.
them starting 1-3. I can't
Yeah,
imagine
that's
them
a
starting
tough
1-3.
place to play on Sunday night
Yeah.
too. Like the Ravens, they got a good home field advantage.
Yeah. Ravens, though, for me.
All right, Titans, Dolphins. Woof. Everyone, make sure you tune into this game.
Well, luckily there's 2 Monday night games, so you don't have to watch this.
Oh my gosh.
And then the next one,
Oh,
much better. I'm not a huge fan of Skylar Thompson.
Yeah.
You're supposed to say who? Who's that guy? But I also don't really think Mayo Man Will Levis is that great. Yeah. I'm gonna go Titans, I guess. It's just like a
Can we
coin flip
pick
for me.
both teams to lose?
Pick a tie. Pick a tie. Might as well.
Yeah. I'm dead serious picking a tie. I am so serious. I'm picking a tie. I can't. I don't know. I mean, my heart, like, instinct is telling me Dolphins just because I think they have more talent. But both teams are just train wrecks right now. So
Yep.
I'm just gonna say it's gonna end in a tie.
Actually, I'm gonna switch my pick. You're gonna stick with the tie, but I'm gonna say Dolphins just because Tyreek Hill is a better player than anybody top to bottom on the Titans. So they just have to get on the ball somehow. That's the problem.
Yeah. Nick.
Yeah, that's crazy, Justin. I was thinking the same thing. It was just I was going to say Dolphins just because Tyreek Hill, and that's it.
Yeah.
He just needs one play because that the Titans are gonna have a bunch of turnovers or whatever.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
And last game is Seahawks and Lions. I'm going Lions.
This is a banger of a game.
Yeah,
also
for sure.
because the Lions, I'm pretty sure, are debuting their black uniforms, and I'm here for it. Yeah, I like that look, Paul. I'm definitely going Lions with this one. But I think it will be a close game though. The Seahawks, they're a pretty good team, but I'm going to go Lions.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it here. I think Lions as well. Because, I mean, speaking about what I said earlier about Cinderella teams, the Seahawks were close to being my idea of that, but not quite. I think the Lions
had that 2 years ago, I think, when they made the play. Like Gino first started, he beat the what did he beat? He beat someone on Sunday night. Or no, excuse me, Monday night. I think it was the Broncos, maybe. I don't know. He kind of started out his starting for the Seahawks journey, right? And they ended up making the playoffs, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, they kind of fit that mold too, Nick.
Yeah, it feels like the magic was a little bit spent though in that season. So, I think the Lions win this one.
Cool.
All right, and that wraps up week 4 of the NFL. And any last second other sport things before we kind of move on?
Yes, we mentioned baseball briefly. So I'm just bringing this up because I'm curious if you guys know anything about this, if you guys care. This is to add to my kind of full narrative about baseball, I guess. So, do either of you know who Shohei Ohtani is?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know who he plays for?
Yes. Dodgers.
Not a clue. Not a
Nick,
single clue.
you said the Dodgers, Nick?
Yeah.
Right. Dodgers.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. I heard somebody talking about that the other day.
All right. So, do you guys know of something that he did recently that is extraordinary?
Yeah, I heard something of it. I can't even tell you what it is, though.
Okay, Nick.
Something.
I don't know.
Idea.
See, this is the problem with baseball. It is completely, and I know you guys don't.
Wait, what is it? I want to know.
I'm getting there. Okay. But I know you guys don't consume it or really care about it too much. But I think this just goes to show how, I don't want to say unpopular, but the popularity of baseball has drastically declined since we were kids. So, Shohei Ohtani, last week, I think he had a game where he had 2 home runs and 10 RBIs, which is just bonkers. Okay. But he is I'm 99% sure he's the first player ever to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases in the same season. First player in all of eternity. Okay.
I didn't even know bases were stolen like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's not even like that. Typically, if you have a guy stealing that many bases, it's someone who doesn't really hit for power, and he's just kind of more of a speedster, a skinny guy. Shohei's a freaking tank. He's a massive dude, right? And this is something that is covered on the national stage, but no one cares. Shohei is the Babe Ruth of our generation. I don't think he's pitched this year, but he pitches as well, and he's a very good pitcher on top of being a generational talent hitter. And just no one pays attention to it unless you follow baseball. And like I asked you guys because I wanted to kind of see like if you had any knowledge of it, right? And like I said, you guys don't follow it
Yeah,
enough to
I'll
know, but
say it's not like I didn't hear anything about it. Like I knew something happened with him, but I could not tell you what it was.
right. But and I don't even know if you had heard about it prior to it actually, like him actually doing it,
And I only
because
know
like
because I was on a live stream last night. That's literally the only reason why I know.
right.
So
So otherwise you wouldn't have known, right?
no.
But like baseball, like growing up for us, like and even before that, like they had the home run race in the '90s where yes, they were on steroids, but like Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds, all these guys are hitting like 50 plus home runs, and we're waiting to see like, oh, who's gonna hit the most, right? That was exciting, and there were so many marketable stars when we were growing
Mhm.
up. Albert Pujols, David Ortiz, Derek Jeter. Then you had like guys that kind of sporadically got good, like Josh Hamilton. The list goes on and on,
Yeah.
right? But I think the average sports fan these days, like, can you name 10 baseball players?
No, absolutely not.
No.
Right, but probably
I
when
can't
we were
even
younger,
name like 5 on the Yankees.
right? So, like, I think that is just like a massive change in baseball. Now, I don't know what the reason is. I think part of it could be that they don't really market their stars well. Like, for instance, you knew of Shohei Ohtani, you didn't really know his like accomplishments that he did. But do you know who Mike Trout is?
Yeah.
Okay, Nick, do you know Mike Trout?
I've heard the name. Is he on the Angels?
He is on the Angels, right? He's like I think a 5 or 6 time MVP, another generational talent. But again, he's not like, oh yeah, I can tell you who Mike Trout is. Well, you probably know Mike
Mhm.
Trout because he's always at Eagles games and they show him on the sidelines. Like that's
Mhm.
it's not, you don't know him for his playing ability.
To be fair, right when you said that right away, I was thinking, oh, I thought he was on the Phillies. I was thinking about a totally different player too, Bryce Harper or something like
Bryce
that.
Harper, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So that's kind of my point in this. And like I got into sports first with baseball, right? Where like I started watching the Red Sox in '07 and I just fell in love with them. And then like other sports gradually came in, and part of this is just my current gripe with the Red Sox and where they get rid of all their good players and they don't spend any money, so on and so forth. Whatever. I have become less interested in baseball, and I think as like a population, we overall have become less interested in baseball, right? And you go to a game here and there and have a good time, but at least following it and keeping up with it, it just doesn't matter in the same way that it did before. Like the rivalries aren't really
Yeah.
the same, and not to keep going on this rant here, but a bigger issue with it too is like all the best players go to like the same teams, whoever has the most money. For instance, the Dodgers, they have 4 former MVPs right now. They have Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Clayton Kershaw, and Shohei. Like it's just an embarrassment of riches where the talent isn't like spread out and it's just funneled to one team. So like it's not even like fun really watching. It's fun seeing when the Dodgers eventually lose in the playoffs. Knock on wood to that they hopefully do. But yeah, this is just a long argument I've had with
I'm
myself about baseball, and I kind of
I'm
wanted to get your
honestly
guys' thoughts
just
on it.
I'm honestly just laughing because like now that you're mentioning it, I know absolutely nothing about baseball.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And it's not even like
Like not
we
even
live in
just
an
like the
area
terms of the
where
game, just like it's popular. It's so popular around us.
that was exactly my point. Like you have tons of Yankees, tons of Red Sox fans, some Mets fans, poor Mets fans, but like it's not nearly what it used to be, and it's a shame. Like baseball is, America's pastime and all this, but
Now it's just the past.
it has just been surpassed easily. It's been surpassed easily by football, like without a doubt, and now
It's not even
basketball
close.
too. Like you can probably name 10 basketball players, right?
Basketball players? I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I could get at least close to that.
Right, right. So I just think like the way that the NFL markets their stars, the product, same thing with the NBA. It's left baseball in the dust, and it's tough to see, but it's just something that I've noticed over the past few years, and the Otani record breaking stuff recently just kind of made me think about it a little bit more.
Mhm. Nick, you have any hockey stuff?
There's one thing I want to talk about, and Justin might know a little bit about it because it's the biggest thing. I don't want to talk about preseason, but there's something lingering in the air, and it's a little stinky right now. It's the contract situation with Jeremy Swayman.
I gotta bring it up.
It's not great, but we got to talk about it because this is so. If anyone follows the Spit and Chicklets, they're like a hockey podcast.
What a name!
Yeah, but they got Paul Bissonnette and a few others. That's where Pink Whitney came from. The creators of Pink Whitney, the vodka.
Isn't Bissonnette what's like the NHL show that's on TNT? Isn't he on that?
Yeah, he is on that, and they call him Paul Miss the Net.
That's pretty good. Yeah, he's a homer for the Maple Leafs, right?
He is, yeah.
Oh God, when the Bruins were playing them last playoffs, I couldn't stand the guy. Not gonna lie, he just aggravated the hell out of me. Anyway,
but yeah, that's who he is. He's kind of a goofball. He's funny, but he on his podcast, they released a rumor that the Bruins lowballed Swayman with a really low offer, like $4 million for 8 years or something. And Swayman is coming off.
Well, I can see your face. Like
Yo.
NHL money, it's not NFL or NBA money. It's not. But that's a very low offer. For
no, like I know it's not that, but like that's disrespectful.
Yeah, and that's what they were claiming on their podcast. So like it's a slap in the face to what Swayman just did in the playoffs this year. I mean, the Bruins were eliminated, but he stood on his head every game.
He wasn't the problem.
No,
wild.
He was amazing. And now Don Sweeney, GM of the Bruins, came out in an interview and he was actually bashing the Spit and Chicklets and saying like this is just a lie, it's BS. And his general attitude kind of tells me he was so negative about it. It kind of worries me that there's no deal that's close because he was so pessimistic about it.
Yeah,
bro. If in that situation, if you presented me with $4 million in that guy's situation, I would have been gone. I would have. That's it.
And well, just to give you a little further context, so Swayman was pretty much the back. Well, not as much last year, but he was pretty much the backup for their other goalie, Linus Omar, who last year won the Vezina. That right? That's he won the Vezina for the best goalie in the league. They just traded him to Nick's Ottawa Senators. So Swayman's your guy. Like he's a Vezina trophy. Like I think
that's why I'm surprised.
Goalie, right? So what are you gonna do? You're gonna you have to lock him down. Like you don't have anything else.
Open net every game of the year.
I guess so. But like, yeah, they have some guys with like higher contracts like Pasternak and Marchand, but like the way that Swayman played last playoffs, like he's not the problem. Like you want to lock him down so you prevent other problems. It's super frustrating. And this like I mentioned it before, like with the Red Sox, like certain Boston sports teams for whatever reason, they don't want to spend money. Like you're acting like you're a third market team. Like I don't know. I
feel like that's why the Yankees have so many because they were just like, screw it, we'll pay you whatever you want, and just threw money at people's feet.
Yeah, like it's. I think part of the issue, at least with the Bruins, could be like money wise. If I'm not mistaken, they don't own their arena. It's the same thing with the Celtics. The Celtics don't own their arena, so they don't get the revenue from it. So really, they're not making as much money. And like brief Celtics tangent with the very high Walter, you look so confused.
Yo, I've never heard that before. That is crazy.
It rents it, right? So with the Celtics, they're in this thing called a luxury tax where their payroll is so high that they have to pay a tax on it. So last year they made some money off of it. This year they're going to make about even in terms of money, again, considering their stadium situation. Next year, they're going to have to like pay out $80 million or something crazy like that because of how high their payroll is. So I'm no expert at this stuff, but that could be kind of where the Bruins are coming from in terms of like the money for Swayman. Regardless, pay the guy. He's arguably like your best player to a certain extent. I know Pasternak is definitely the best player, but like you got to lock him down.
Yeah,
there's no question about it.
I totally agree. I mean, I don't want to beat the dead horse here, but the biggest problem I see is that the Bruins, having already traded away Linus Ullmark, well, now Swayman has all the leverage because he
Yeah.
says he's like, you just got Corpusalo, who was historically the worst goaltender in the league last year, and if you're threatening, we're going to start Corpusalo if you don't sign, Swayman's laughing at them. He's like, all right, go ahead.
Good
You
luck.
played yourself.
Yeah. So I feel like in this situation, what Swayman wants, he should get, and the Bruins should just be like, yes,
Agreed.
absolutely.
Just give him a blank check, write it out, sign it, bring it to the
Yeah,
bank.
exactly.
Yeah, the
I
NHL.
don't think it is.
I feel like this offseason, the NHL like teams have just, I don't know what the heck is going on when it comes to like their front office and getting their players taken care of. Because even the Rangers had some sketchy stuff, which we won't go into now. But I don't get it. I don't know why they're not paying their guys, and it's just stupid stuff like that. Like if this guy's your only goalie and he's good, why are you trying? You're bluffing without any good reason to bluff. Like you have
Yeah.
nothing in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Just get it done. Stop playing around.
Yeah.
I think it'll be unceremoniously resolved to just some random Monday night or something like that, but it's something to look out for.
Fingers crossed. I hope that happens.
Crazy. Anybody got anything else?
Nope.
We're just that you and I are going to, or Walt and I are going to the BC Western Kentucky football game over the weekend.
Oh yeah.
So that'd be cool to
Yeah.
kind of see in person. I played it last night on college football. I forgot the score that I sent you, Walter. I think it was like 30 something to like
38
17.
to 14, I think, or 17.
Okay, something like that. I think it might have been 38 to 17. So if that ends up being the score, I am some kind of mind reader or whatever
Did
you
you
want
play
to
as
call
Boston
it. fortune teller.
College?
I did.
Week. I'll play it as Western
Oh,
Kentucky.
stop. All right. I could say the Castellanos is pretty good. He can move around, and they're. Oh, that was another thing too. Their running back, Kai Robichaux, I think his name is. He went to Western Kentucky and now he's at BC. It's a little revenge game for him.
All right. Yeah.
But,
So
yeah.
Nick, you got anything going on this weekend?
Playing some hockey games. We'll see. That's about it.
Beer league, baby.
Yeah,
That's
beer
fun.
league. You know
All
how
right,
it
well,
is.
Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. And yeah, everyone have a good week.
All right, peace.
Later.